Loneliness doesn't just make you feel alone, it changes you, slowly, not in a way you notice right away, but in a way that, over time, makes you feel like a different person. And the strange part is, you don't really see it happening. At first, it doesn't feel dangerous. It feels quiet. You tell yourself you just need space. Time to think, time to reset. You start getting used to your own company. The silence feels manageable, even comfortable. And in the beginning, it is. Because your brain is built to adapt. Whatever environment you put it in, it learns how to survive there. But it doesn't know if that environment is temporary or if it's slowly becoming your life. So it adjusts anyway. You stop reaching out as much. Not because you don't want to, but because it starts to feel like effort, like something you have to prepare for. Conversations feel heavier, even simple ones, so you delay them. I'll reply later. I'll call them tomorrow. I'll go out next time. And nothing about that feels wrong. That's the problem. Because while that feels normal, your brain is already shifting around it. Your baseline changes. What used to feel easy starts to feel like too much. And what used to feel empty starts to feel familiar. That's where the shift really begins. Loneliness doesn't just remove people from your life. It changes how you experience people. You start reading into things more. A message that feels slightly off. A reply that takes too long. A conversation that doesn't go exactly how you expected. Your brain fills in the gaps. And it rarely fills them with neutral explanations. They're losing interest. I said something wrong. They don't really care. Even when none of that is true, because when your brain spends too much time without real feedback, it starts generating its own version of reality. And after a while, that version feels convincing. The longer you stay in that state, the more it affects how you see everything. You become more sensitive to rejection, even when it's not there, more aware of distance, even when nothing has changed. Eventually, you start protecting yourself from things that haven't even happened yet. You hesitate before speaking. You hold parts of yourself back. You keep things surface level just in case. Not because you're weak, but because your brain is trying to reduce risk. And here's what most people miss. That protection is what keeps the cycle going. Because connection isn't safe by default. It requires small risks. Saying something that might not land perfectly. Showing up without being fully sure how it'll go. But when you've been alone for too long, those small risks don't feel small anymore. They feel like something to avoid. So you avoid them. And the less you engage, the harder it becomes to engage at all. At some point, it starts to feel like you've lost something. Like you're not as natural around people anymore. Not as present, not as comfortable. But you didn't lose it. You adapted away from it. And adaptation doesn't feel like change while it's happening. It feels like this is just who you are now. But it's not. It's just what you've been practicing. Because connection is a skill your brain maintains through repetition, reading people, responding without overthinking, feeling present in a conversation. If you stop using those, they don't stay the same. They fade quietly until one day you're in a conversation and something feels slightly off, like there's a delay between what you think and what you say, and that moment sticks with you. See, this is why I don't do this anymore. So you pull back again, and the cycle tightens, but it goes deeper than behavior. Loneliness starts changing how you see yourself. When you're around people, your identity gets reflected back to you. Through reactions, through shared moments, through connection. Without that, things get unclear. You start questioning things you never used to think about. How do people actually see me? Am I interesting enough? Do I even know how to connect anymore? And because there's no one there to balance those thoughts, Your brain answers them on its own, usually in the worst possible way, because isolation amplifies whatever is already inside your head. And without anything to interrupt it, that becomes your reality. This is where loneliness stops being just a feeling. It becomes a filter, a way of interpreting everything. Even when opportunities for connection show up, they don't feel the same anymore. They feel heavier, more complicated, easier to avoid. Not because you don't want connection, but because your brain got used to functioning without it. And stepping out of that feels unfamiliar. And your brain doesn't like unfamiliar. It prefers what it knows, even if what it knows is limiting. That's how loneliness traps you, not by forcing you to be alone, but by making connection feel harder than isolation. And the longer that continues, the more convincing it becomes. You start telling yourself things that sound reasonable. I just prefer being alone. People are draining. I'm better off focusing on myself. And sometimes, part of that is true, but not all of it. Underneath that, there's a system that adapted to survive without connection. And now it resists going back, because it doesn't feel natural anymore. But here's what you don't see while you're inside it. Loneliness doesn't stay the same. It deepens. First, it's distance, then discomfort, then avoidance. And eventually, it starts shaping how you interpret reality itself. You assume disconnection, even when connection is possible. You expect distance. Even when someone is trying to get closer, you read neutral behavior as rejection. And because you believe those interpretations, you act on them. You pull back, you disengage, you protect yourself, and that creates the exact outcome you were trying to avoid. People feel that distance, not because they don't care, but because connection needs effort from both sides. So the gap grows, and to you, it feels like confirmation. See, I was right, but you weren't. You just participated in the pattern. And the unsettling part is, there's no moment where it becomes obvious. No clear point where everything changes. Just small adjustments over time that slowly reshape how you think, feel, and respond. Until one day, you don't just feel alone. You feel disconnected from people, from yourself, from the version of you that didn't overthink everything this much. And that's when it becomes hardest to reverse. Because now it's not just about reaching out. It's about rebuilding something your brain adapted away from. But this is the part most people don't hear. Nothing about this is permanent. Because the same mechanism that adapted you into this state can adapt you out of it. Your brain didn't break, it adjusted. And adjustments can change, but not by waiting for the feeling to disappear, because it won't. It either gets reinforced or it gets interrupted. An interruption doesn't feel natural. It feels awkward, uncomfortable, forced, because you're going against what your brain learned. But that discomfort isn't a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that something is shifting. Because connection isn't something you suddenly feel ready for again. It's something you rebuild through small, imperfect actions. At first, it won't feel the same. It won't feel easy. It won't feel natural. But that doesn't mean it's not working. It just means your brain hasn't caught up yet. Because it only adapts to what you repeat. And if you've been repeating isolation, that's what it's optimized for. But the moment you start repeating connection again, even in small ways, the system begins to shift. Slowly, the same way it shifted before. Until one day, a conversation doesn't feel as heavy. A message doesn't feel as difficult to send. Being around people doesn't drain you the same way. And you won't notice exactly when it changes, because it happens gradually, in both directions. So if you feel like something about you changed, you're right, but not in the way you think. You didn't lose yourself. You adapted. And if you stay there, that version becomes permanent. But if you interrupt it, if you move toward the discomfort instead of away from it, something else happens. Your brain adapts again. And the version of you that feels connected doesn't come back all at once. It rebuilds, quietly, the same way it disappeared.